Hello and welcome. Here's what's happening right now. Released after decades behind bars, freedom at last for Daniel Jolivet.
Well, it's a lot of emotion at the best day of my career.
His long fight for justice and what comes next for him.
It's designed and built for the sole purpose of scamming.
Inside the world of fake AI crypto scams, why some fraudsters are forced to target victims.
What we're really looking for is true justice and accountability.
Plus, what and who are in the newly released Epstein documents.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
We begin with breaking news in Quebec, where a man who has maintained his innocence since being convicted of quadruple murder over 30 years ago has been released from prison.
It was a decision that was based on the representation of the parties, a very extensive motion that we filed in court, and a lot of evidence as well that shows that there's new evidence that tends to demonstrate that there's a miscarriage of justice.
Daniel Jolivet has been locked up in a Quebec prison since being convicted in 1994, but today a judge agreed to release him on bail. CTV's Matt Gilmore joins me now outside the courthouse in Montreal with more on the decision and the reaction. Matt.
Well, Heather, it was an extremely emotional moment inside the courtroom this afternoon. Jolivet stood and listened to the judge read her decision, wiping tears from his eyes. His family members, also in the courtroom, were extremely emotional. When she was finished, Jolivet spoke to the judge, thanked her for her decision, told her that he would respect the conditions of his release, and he thanked his lawyers who have been working on this case for more than 20 years to bring it to this point. Now, this is technically not an acquittal. He is technically on bail while he awaits the result of a judicial review of his case from the Justice Minister. That process, though, could take up to 5 years, which is why the judge in this case has taken the extraordinary step of releasing him while he waits. Heather.
Matt Gilmore in Montreal for us tonight. Matt, thank you. Turning now to breaking news from Washington, where the U.S. Department of Justice has started releasing documents related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. CTV's Washington Bureau Chief Joy Malvin joins me now. Joy, what more can you tell us?
Heather, these massive files have just dropped, and already they're having technical troubles with the website. A lot has been redacted to protect the victims. So far, from what we've seen, there are many, many photos without any context, location, or time. The record should include about 2 decades worth of government investigations into Epstein's sexual abuse, like grand jury testimony, immunity deals, sealed settlements, why Epstein got a sweetheart deal in Florida, and sensitive information like the end of Maxwell's trial. That was Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, discussing the victims, girls as young as 14 who were recruited from broken homes, how Epstein and his accomplice groomed these young girls. Epstein had rich and powerful friends, a private island, a private jet. What we're waiting to see is, do these files actually name names? And that is what the author of an Epstein book says he is looking for. Have a listen.
I'm mostly interested in learning about the 20 men that Representative Thomas Massey said were taking part in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking. 6 billionaires in that group, one of them from Canada, a very wealthy individual from Italy, some members in politics and in the entertainment world.
So many questions still looking to be answered. And Joy, we know this is a very emotional day for many. What are you hearing from survivors?
Yeah, many of the survivors who came to Capitol Hill demanding that the truth be, told, they're bracing themselves. President Trump, who campaigned on releasing the files only to rail against it and calling it a Democratic hoax, and he refused to take questions about it today. It has not inspired trust in this government. Still, some of the survivors, like Lisa Phillips, say that they're hopeful. Have a listen.
I'm not sure if we're going to get justice for people to be held accountable in its entirety. Probably not, but I do think they can be exposed, and that people can start understanding what was going on.
Heather, this is just the beginning of a release of hundreds of thousands of documents that they're going to release over several weeks. Another loophole that could delay some records are the ongoing prosecutions because the president publicly ordered an investigation into Democrats who associated with Epstein. Heather?
All right, Joy Malvin for us in Washington. Joy, thank you. A Toronto man is facing a number of terrorism-related charges linked to ISIS, as well as dozens of other criminal charges related to offenses in the Greater Toronto Area that allegedly targeted members of the Jewish community. CTV's Jeremy Sharon is following the story from Ottawa today. Jeremy, what more do we know about the suspect?
Heather, the RCMP and Toronto police announced these charges today, from kidnappings to hostage takings and terrorism charges linked to the Islamic State. 27-year-old Toronto resident Waleed Khan was taken into custody by the RCMP on November 26th. Khan is facing 7 terrorism-related offenses in connection with an RCMP investigation, including allegations that he conspired to commit murder for the benefit of, at the direction of, or in association with a terrorist group. He's also one of 3 people charged in connection with a Toronto police investigation dubbed Project Neapolitan, launched last spring after 2 violent incidents in the GTA. Khan, along with 18-year-old Osman Azizov and 19-year-old Fahad Sadat, are facing in that investigation a combined 79 charges, including kidnapping, attempted kidnapping with firearms, conspiracy to commit sexual assault, and hostage takings. Police say some of the offenses were informed in part by hate-motivated extremism and targeted women and members of the Jewish community.
It's an absolute matter of urgency for our governments at all levels to work with law enforcement to take the steps necessary today to prevent not just the crimes that were announced earlier this morning, but to get at the root cause of this heinous violence.
Meanwhile, earlier this week, the Canadian Security Intelligence Service said it sees no indication of a specific threat in Canada following a mass shooting at a Hanukkah celebration in Australia. But CSIS did warn of a realistic possibility of an extremist attack on the Jewish community here in Canada. Heather?
Jeremy, thank you. A developing story now in Welland, Ontario, where a Niagara police officer was shot during a call over a bylaw issue. CTV's John Musselman is on the scene of what is still an active investigation. John, what can you tell us?
Well, I can tell you this is still a police investigation. I'm just going to step out of the way, Heather, and ask Brian to zoom in. It's at the end of this street here in Welland, and our understanding is that there was a bylaw call here this morning regarding a fence on the property of this person that was an infraction. That bylaw officer notified the police for backup, and that's when the officer was shot. Now, we're told that the officer, a female officer, suffered a gunshot wound to the chest, but she is okay. Her body armor was what police say saved her life. But we are in a lockdown situation here with area schools as police continue to try to negotiate with this gunman. Here's what police told us just a short time ago.
In this case, it's a fencing issue around what appears to be an old church that may be converted into a residence. Shortly after our officers arrived, they were met with gunfire from a male inside that building, and one of our officers unfortunately was hit. That officer's been transported to a hospital for what's considered non-life-threatening injuries.
We're being told by police that this is still ongoing. They have the technical team outside the home, and they are trying to negotiate a peaceful resolution to this situation. Heather?
CTV's John Musselman for us this evening. Thank you. Canada's Border Security Agency has revealed that hundreds of employees were involved in cases of misconduct. The report reveals that between April 2024 and March 2025, 364 investigations were launched with misconduct found in 259, or 71% of cases. The cases ranged from professional misconduct to association with criminals and sexual harassment. The CBSA says several disciplinary actions were taken, including counseling and temporary suspensions. Ontario Premier Doug Ford was in Buffalo today to ink a new deal on nuclear power with New York Governor Kathy Hochul. Both leaders made repeated reference to the strength of the cross-border relationship. But as CTV's Rachel Aiello reports, ties like these will soon be tested. Rachel.
Heather, with the trilateral trade deal known in Canada as CUSMA coming up for review in 2026, today Ontario Premier Doug Ford and New York Governor Kathy Hochul vowed not to let the headwinds from Washington weaken their working relationship.
We're going to stand firm and let people know who our friends are.
Signing a new cross-border nuclear energy agreement, the leaders of Ontario and New York reaffirmed their cooperation.
We're here today to celebrate and strengthen the deep relationship between New York and Ontario.
Though it's these kinds of cross-border ties that will soon be tested when the CUSMA review begins. In mid-January, Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc will meet with his D.C. counterparts to launch discussions. This week, the top U.S. trade representative told Congress the Trump administration has a wish list of trade irritants Canada needs to address. Jameson Greer wants expanded access to the supply-managed dairy market.
We're obviously very concerned because all of the things that the Trump administration is talking about currently would have a direct impact.
The USTR is also unhappy with Canada's online streaming and news laws that impose obligations on major American tech and media giants.
For us, we don't see that there is a legitimate cause for this to be on the table.
The Prime Minister says these issues are just a piece of the broader discussion that's about to get underway.
We will always pursue an agreement that is in the interest of Canadian workers, Canadian families.
Those involved in the last round of trilateral trade talks say it'll be key for Team Canada to stay united.
So the talks that are going to kick off in January is the beginning of what will likely be a long process. So my advice is brace for a lot of ups and downs.
Canada did make concessions during the NAFTA renegotiation. This time around, as Donald Trump tries to extract more, those in the supply-managed dairy and egg sectors I heard from today said they expect Mark Carney not to crack. Heather?
Rachel Aiello in Ottawa, thank you. Ahead of an expected cabinet shuffle in the new year, the Prime Minister's office is making some staffing changes at the senior public servant level, with 12 people getting new assignments. Some notable moves include Quebec Court of Appeal Judge Marie-Josée Hogue becomes Deputy Minister of Justice and Deputy Attorney General. Christian Fox moves into the role of a Deputy Minister of National Defence, while it appears Michael Sabia will remain Privy Council Clerk, the most senior member of Canada's public service. And the economic uncertainty brought on by Donald Trump's trade war is driving retail sales down in this country. The latest Statistics Canada report highlighting growing caution as consumers rein in their spending. CTV's Kamal Karmali now on the sectors that are particularly hit hard. Kamal.
Heather, business analysts say this means the holiday shopping season is off to a slow start, with retail sales falling 0.2% in October to just over $69 billion. This is the second straight month of sales dropping. The biggest drop in October was in the food and beverage sector, sales declining 2%. Statistics Canada says the bulk of that drop was seen in the beer, wine, and liquor sales. That dropped more than 10%, largely because of the labor disruption in BC. But sales at grocery stores also dropped 0.7%, with higher food costs resulting in consumers tightening their food budget, among other reasons.
Canada's population actually shrank by about 70,000 people quarter on quarter. You layer on top of that the sort of job insecurity caused by the trade war and uncertainty there. We also think there are a few more job losses to come early in 2026.
The slight good news, the auto sector saw a bit of a rebound. After a nearly 3% drop in September, the auto sector climbed 0.5% in October. Statistics Canada says November is projected to show a rebound as well, with an estimated increase in overall sales by more than 1%. Heather.
All right, Kamal, thank you. Coming up.
I only know that if you don't work and don't do as they tell, you get beaten.
How the people making crypto scam calls are being treated abroad. In part two of a W5 investigation into cryptocurrency scams targeting Canadians, Pat Foran looks into who is making these scam calls and why. Pat Foran joins me now. Pat, this is an incredible investigation that you've been doing. How are these callers able to convince people to hand over their life savings?
Well, when people see these videos online, these fake AI-generated videos, that's really only the beginning. Once they respond to them, they usually get a call within 10 minutes. And Heather, that's when the big scam really starts to happen. The callers will call people every day for months, sometimes 6 months to a year, telling them they're getting rich to take the money, you know, you're going to be able to retire and help your grandchildren. Of course, it's all a scam, and it's really just this long con, and the callers are a big part of it.
And so what were you able to find out about these callers? So much we focus on people who are the victims, but the callers themselves, you've learned some interesting things.
It's quite shocking to know that the scammers are victims too. They're going for these jobs. They think they're getting jobs at legitimate call centers. And once they get into these compounds, they can't leave. They're forced to make these calls. And if they don't, they're beaten and tortured. And inside the compounds, Heather, it's a terrible situation.
I only know that if you don't work and don't do as they tell, you get beaten.
An Amnesty International investigation identified more than 50 scamming compounds in Cambodia. They were also able to document the abuse workers suffered if they refused to scam people.
And the torture inside these compounds is extreme. And so that's how you motivate people to do something that they would not ordinarily do.
Pat, that's incredible.
It is. You know, in a good situation, it's win-win. In this situation, it's lose-lose, Heather. Canadians are losing money, the scammers are losing their freedom, and the only people getting rich are organized crime gangs. It's terrible.
Okay, looking forward to watching part two this evening, Pat. It's an excruciating ordeal for everyone involved. You can watch Pat's full report later on CTV National News at 11. Still ahead tonight, why the price of lobster is dropping in Canada and what it means for fishermen. A large lobster facility in New Brunswick has been gutted by fire. The Stonehaven Lobster Company's storage facility burned to the ground. The fire broke out yesterday. The local fire department says no one was inside at the time, but the building is a total loss. The family-run business has been operating for generations with buyers all over the world. The cause of the fire is unknown. Earlier this month, fire tore through a lobster processing plant in Nova Scotia, putting about 100 people out of work. The lobster industry has seen its share of ups and downs. Right now, consumers are reaping the benefits as the price of Nova Scotia lobster has dropped substantially since last year. Perfect for holiday feasts, but as CTV's Paul Hollingsworth explains, it's not good news for everyone.
Pat DeWolf works long days selling live and cooked lobsters. We're running out quick. Lobster season in this part of Nova Scotia began in late November. The price of lobster being sold directly off boats is down, more than $2 a pound, now sitting around $8.50. That means the resale price is roughly $11. Bad news for lobster fishermen who are taking a hit to their bottom line, but a good deal for customers. Local people can afford to buy their lobsters for Christmas. They're getting it at a savings of close to 20% compared to last year.
It's definitely the best price for having it already cooked and ready to go for you.
The lobster industry is riding rough seas. Seafood exports are down by 6% in Nova Scotia following China's retaliatory tariffs placed on Canadian seafood. Lower shore prices for lobster are based on supply and demand, which can drive up prices or cause them to plummet, which further cuts into profits for lobster fishermen.
It's competition on the wharf. Dealers and buyers need harvesters, so they compete to buy lobster from harvesters. So there's competition at the wharf, and there's competition in the protein market.
The good news is there's lots of time left. The lobster season here runs until May 31st, which gives crews more than 5 months to increase their catch and hope for a higher price of lobster per pound. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
A recent blast of frigid weather on the prairies has offered an opportunity for a little bit of wintertime fun. This hockey-loving thrill-seeker laced up his skates, grabbed his stick, and flew down the road after freezing rain coated a local highway near Belmont, Manitoba. After the break, deck the house. The Christmas display lighting up the neighborhood for a good cause. On one Charlottetown street, a holiday display is lighting up more than just a neighborhood. The PEI Christmas house has become a seasonal stop for families and a fundraiser for those battling cancer. CTV's Maria Saru is standing by to share this story filled with holiday spirit. Maria.
Heather, by day, this house already stands out, but by night, that's when it really shines.
One home on this Charlottetown cul-de-sac is hard to miss. Roughly 38,000 lights and 24 inflatables cover the front yard. For many islanders, stopping by is a holiday tradition.
We thought we'd just take a drive and before the storm and see what it looks like. It's wonderful.
They come for the Christmas magic and to support a cause that hits close to home for some.
After having treatment here on the island, I know what it takes. I appreciate everything that's done and know that there's more that can be done.
A donation box out front collects money for the Canadian Cancer Society as visitors walk and drive past the display.
It's pretty cool. There's a lot of work went into this thing.
I have started hand painting some of these signs with
that work falls to Liam Kearney, who started the PEI Christmas house in 2019.
It helps people with their travel needs for treatment, for staying at the lodge in Halifax, even simple things as, getting a wig.
According to the Canadian Cancer Society, researchers have estimated that in 2025, there will be nearly 255,000 new cancer cases and around 87,400 deaths across the country. Kearney has helped raise more than $21,000 for the society, and this year his goal is to add another 5,000 as families keep soaking up the holiday season.
Having young children myself, it's nice to be able to see the Christmas lights and get in the Christmas spirit.
These decorations will be up until January 2nd, and anyone interested in donating can do so through the PEI Christmas House's social media pages. Heather.
Fabulous display for a good cause, Maria. Thank you. That is our newscast for this Friday. Thank you for joining us. I will be here tonight with CTV National News at 11. I hope you can tune in. I'm Heather Butts. Your local CTV News starts right now.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.